and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, step right up for another episode of Cardboard Insanity.
Shut up and sit down.
Course the Avenger, I feel oddly comfortable. This feels strange.
It's odd.
We're recording this from a very strange place. This episode of Cardboard Insanity is being recorded on our couch.
On our couch.
Because we're so busy this weekend, and I cooked dinner, we did yoga, the dog was a jerk.
Oh, she was a big fat jerk.
And I did not feel in any sort of way like setting up the normal microphone stuff. So I just said, hey, we're going to use handhelds.
And get super comfy.
Like, we're sitting here with recliners. Mm-hmm. You know, the feet are up. We just got done watching episode of 30 Rock. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that would make this much more comfortabler would be as if we had beers.
Yeah, well, fail.
That's all right. You've got powder.
Well, another fail.
She's terrible.
That was awful.
Well, we yard sailed this weekend, and we did really, really awesome in our yard sale. And all weekend long, Squeaky was aces. She was nice. She let everybody touch her, even dudes, and she doesn't really like dudes.
Right. She usually growls when there's dudes coming up. So.
But she let everybody pet her, and she had a waggy butt, and she was nice to everybody that was here.
Yep.
Although she did start off Saturday morning by taking off, so I kind of like jacked up my knee slightly the other day.
Yeah, and still not really.
But stupid, I let her out the back door, and she just takes off. So I go to run after her in sandals, wipe out on mud, and just devastate my leg. And then after that, she was good.
Well, I'm just glad that you didn't tear a tendon, because last time she did that, I ended up having shoulder surgery. So there's that.
So before she did the same thing again. She went she charges like a maniac, but then she's nice to this other dog.
Yeah.
But she acts like a jerk. Mm-hmm. And also she does not listen to horse calls. Apparently she doesn't speak horse.
No, she does not listen to
just
me, and that just really
angry Polish
upset
man.
me.
I use dad voice. I go like, powder.
I actually dropped my phone.
Well, that's what happened when I fell. My phone went up and because I was, it was 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday, so naturally I'm trying to catch Pokemon.
Right.
And the phone. I wish someone had videotaped it.
I'm sure it was
knowing
amazing.
how I fell, and then I got up and I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where she pees, so it was probably a really bad.
Yeah, you probably
situation.
fell right into her pee spot. Oh.
Oh, yeah. And then I showered 2 days later. No. So, yeah, the Squeaky sucks. She might be fired as the official mascot of the show.
I don't know. She's at least on probation.
Can we dock her pay?
Yeah. No more rice for you.
Guys, I'll die. I'll die, guys.
Oh, really?
No, I can't. I need my rice and my chickens. I'm willing to give up the pumpkin for a few days.
Okay, no more pumpkin for 3 days.
And so she sits here sort of mopey because she knows she's an idiot.
Oh, she
Doggy
knows.
guilt is an epic, epic thing. And for people that aren't dog owners, I don't know of any other animal that is as guilty as a dog. Like,
oh my God.
When they do something they know they shouldn't do, like doggy guilt is one of the funniest things because they will suck up to you. And they give you puppy dog eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They give you those big cow eyes. They sort of roll their eyes up, and they're like, "Now you can see the whites of my eyes now, because I love you."
Yeah, and it's I love how people say, "Oh, you can't punish your dog if he does something bad because they don't remember." Nonsense.
Did they remember?
They remember. She knows she was being a douche, and so we're sitting here, and she comes snuggling up, and she's gonna lay her snout on me, and I'm sorry, Mom. I'm like,
Yeah,
you behaved like a jerk. You made me look like a complete fool in front of our neighbors.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at least nobody. Yeah, That's right. Lick yourself. God, you're terrible. Well, at least she's not hacking up a lung like she was in the last episode.
Well, that's...
I can't believe no one commented on that because all you hear is it sounded like a 90-year-old smoker.
Old hag.
Yeah. And that's a great segue. Speaking of old hags.
Oh, really?
On this episode, we'll talk more about stuff, but I can't pass this opportunity up. My mom is joining us on this episode.
Yes.
The illustrious Diane Oksenic.
Yeah.
She's joining us for a review of Battle Line / Schotten Totten, which turned into a discussion of some of her favorite games. And then we briefly talked about Raw. So it's like a mini Raw review, a mini Raw view.
Raw view?
Which is great because there's a re-release of Raw out there now.
I know.
And then we talked actually a little bit about Orongo, which we reviewed in the last episode. But we're not going to talk too much because we have the rest of the Reiner Knizia interview to get to.
Yes.
Plus, we talked with my mom for like half an hour. So
yeah,
it's definitely, well, it's something.
It is.
She's a lunatic.
It was a lot of fun.
I want to talk about Pokemon Go, but we'll save that for next week.
Okay.
Because the dog is like, God only knows what she's... Powder, what in God's name are you doing? You're the worst. That's why we don't have nice things. So, I guess without any further ado, we should go ahead and get right into the stuff.
We should.
Don't look at me like that. Yeah, she winked at me. Well, Powder, say something to all the people listening. No, thanks for nothing, Powder. Yeah. All right. Here's... me and Reiner Knizia, followed by myself, the Horsey Avenger, and the Sea Hag.
The Sea Hag.
And then we'll be back to wrap up the episode.
All right.
See you soonish.
Okay.
There was a Kickstarter that was run last year for a game with your name on it for the PC and Android and I believe the iPhone as well for the Confrontation, which is was a not so much a reworking but I suppose a de-skinned version of your Lord of the Rings Confrontation game. I was a backer on that, so I played that the other day, and I had never played the Lord of the Rings Confrontation before, which is kind of I think I have to give back my Board Game Geek card now since I'd never played that. How deep do you think you can take a system like that? Can you create more sides than just the two? What are you leaning towards creating as far as an environment for players on a game like that?
Well, this game built a lot on the visual presentation, the world behind it. They went a lot of effort into this. I am not sure if I can really judge what today's gamers, and that is more a gamer's game now, what today's gamers are really looking for and what you have to give them to make a mobile phone, a cell phone game successful. A lot of people claim they know it. The marketing departments claim they know it in hindsight, but ahead into the future, nobody seems to be able to do it. I don't even claim that I have a concept of why will this game be successful or why will it not be successful. They manage to create the hype. Sometimes Kickstarter allows you to create a certain hype. But on the other hand, I'm actually quite critical towards crowdfunding and Kickstarter being the most successful crowdfunding platform because it puts, so to speak, the finances at the front. And once you have sold your stuff, what's your motivation to really deliver something sophisticated? And what do I need to advertise so that I get the buyers? And so it's the criteria of have so many nice figures and so many nice components is the one thing, but that's how does the thing really play afterwards?
Right.
So I think we get, due to Kickstarter, due to the explosion of the many different publishers and the markets, we get a big release of new games every year, but they pull towards the average. It is very difficult to, amongst all these new publications, to find the really good ones. And for the good ones, it's really hard to come through and really get seen. So the process is not necessarily promoting excellent designs in a bigger quantity.
It's almost like the pipe got widened for releases, but the quality barrier did not rise accordingly. Well, and I only started in the hobby in about 2007. At the time I started, I could buy every new game that was released every week and keep up for the entire year. And sure, that's not a small amount of money, but it could have been done. It is impossible.
Yes.
And at that, even if you could, you would never play them all. So it's almost like, as the board game hobby continues to grow, it's sort of fragmenting itself into all these little tiny pockets, and you're getting little clicks and niches inside a niche, which do you think that's potentially dangerous?
Dangerous is a strong word. I think it will certainly influence the insiders more, how they go along. Nobody would give a credit or borrow or lend money to somebody on these very weak basis as we do it in a crowdfunding situation. But people get burned maybe, and then they maybe learn about it, and then the really good ones have more difficulties to getting the funding. It is again, I want everything now for free, and it goes into this direction. The world changes. The world changes for different segments, and we are again talking more about the gamer side here, because the Joe public will not go out there and back a game.
No, they would never. They would never kickstart a game. Never.
It's not what they do. So the fight for the shelf space and how to reach the average consumer is a completely different one than the crowdfunding insider one.
So now that you've delved into the digital market, do you see yourself continuing to play in the digital market and to do designs there, or are you leaning towards going back to not that you've ever gone away from traditional board games, but do you see your focus remaining sort of split, or are you going to return back to focusing primarily on cardboard?
The starting, of course, was always in cardboard, because there wasn't really much electronics at that time, and the physical games have always been in the core of what I do and what we create here. There are always little excursions, and they become sometimes important excursions to reach people. We have about 40 games in the App Store, and not as many, but some in the Android world. Very few on the Microsoft world, and it has become more difficult now. I think the initial enthusiasm has gone away about putting so many games out there. It's also that the enthusiasm of taking this hardware platform of an iPhone or an iPad and integrating it into a social board game. A lot of publishers have had disappointing results, and they have shied away from this a little bit as well. What we have done very successfully, and what I think where we have built for ourselves a very good basis of experience, I think we are probably the foremost experienced base in the world for this one. It's a big world and other people to judge. And that is to work on hybrid games in a way that you have a physical environment, you sit around the table, you still play a board game in one shape or another, but then there is an electronic component in the game. Our most successful game, Who Was It?, has this electronic game component. So you sit there, you play, you see each other, you have the fun with each other, but the electronic component brings in the sounds, brings in the atmosphere, brings in the challenges. Who Was It is a fully cooperative game. You play against the system. And this is a big challenge to unify these two worlds, because you need to create something where you sit and really have your gameplay. But on the other hand, you need to also be able to specify something which has a real meaning in that electronic component. It's not starting from one side and then, so to speak, putting the other one on top. You have to start from both sides and give them equal importance and melt them together into one. This is a big project. It takes a lot of time, because you need to do the electronic side as well as the board game side to come together. but they can be very successful. As I say, our most successful game is Who Was It? And I think it catches both worlds. It catches those people who like the social aspect. It catches the families who want to sit together and spend time together. But it also catches the youngsters. The saying is always from the age of whatever, now probably 8 or 10, we lose all the kids to the electronic side.
Right.
But there is electronic in this game for them. So they are very happy to play there as well. And then you have the advantage that you can, in a cooperative game, for example, bring very different ages, very inexperienced players into the game, because I do not have to beat this person, and therefore I'm actually interested on the one side to bring him in and advise him, but not as much as that he beats or she beats me. Whereas in the cooperative side, we all have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old can play, because they need to play their part, and we are all interested to help him or her to play the part of it, because we need that player in there if he or she plays. And that makes for a great group experience, and I think there are lots of opportunities to do that. I think this is one of our main interests, and a lot of experience and work went into this of the last 10 years, starting with maybe King Arthur, the game which played on a board with conductive ink, yes, and all the developments which came after that, up to the big boat now, which came out this year, end of last year, this year, end of last year. The big ship Captain Black, which is a 3-foot ship in the box, and an electronic figure which moves along on the ship and gives instructions how this unworthy or how do you say, a ship which can't really sail, but he wants to get to his treasure island, and he promises all these inexperienced people who play, I'll give you the rich treasures if you get me there. But unfortunately, the water is coming in, and the rats are coming out, and the pirates are attacking, and the big kraken tries to leap up underwater. And so again, this is, so to speak, the next generation. You have this big, almost toy in there. Right. You have the electronic in there. You have the cooperative challenges in there. This is something I really like, and I think has a real future. And as you see, I'm really enthusiastic about it, because the answer to your simple question, are you going back to the roots or are you staying with your roots, is yes, I am, but there are some additions you can do which I think are really promising.
That's a great point, because we get to a point now when you go to a game group, everyone's phone is on the table next to them. You know, everyone's there and everyone's picking it up. And if you can engage that part with the actual game and not make it a distraction, but make it an integration into the experience, that's got to be the next level. And that's how you solve that. How do you have cell phones at the table issue? You know, you make it part of the game. I can imagine the complication of having to know both sides of that to make it work is probably pretty difficult. So in America, we just got our first new game of yours in quite a long time, in Orongo, a new design, which is pretty exciting. That sees us kind of going back to almost the classic auction style of some of your earlier games, with the closed auction from Traumfabrik. That's a mechanic that I adore, the closed auction. Where did Orongo come from?
Orongo came from the fascination about the theme and the world of the Easter Islands. That was really the starting point it's a microcosmos which went badly wrong. And a lot of people see that as a model for our world. Those people who see our world going down in all the problems we have with nature. The fascination is you have a system which is really naturally closed on this island. You have very scarce resources, and you have this obsession with building these big statues. And so it makes for a very fascinating world. And for me, the important thing was to give a real feel for this resources running out. So you have a limited island, but that wasn't enough for me. Of course, there are only these 60 resource spaces, and then there is the wood spaces, and you are trying to get these resources, and you're trying to have the resources that you can build your big statues. But I wanted to make it more serious, and the more serious is, yes, it's an auction mechanism with the quarry shells, but you start, I believe, with 60, if I remember correctly. But when you build a big statue, then you need to show that you have used these resources. And therefore, you take your shells and you place them on these spaces. That means more and more of these shells are used up. But the shells are my, in inverted commas, money, my resources to bid and to buy more of my spaces, more of my working rooms, working areas, so that I can build more Moai. But if we start with 60 and we play a 4-player game, then everybody has 15. But then when the first Moais are built, the statues, then probably 20, 30 of these shells are on the board. So suddenly there are only 30, and maybe towards the end there are only 20. So you could very comfortably bid 6, 7, 8 shells initially, but now as the economy shrinks, every individual shell counts. I mean, what do you do if you fell the last tree? Yes, this is the most valuable tree you have. Then, yes? And it's exactly this is what I wanted to build in a way. This looming situation that I know it's all going to become very, very scarce. And how do I get through it? How much do I have to save from the start onwards? This is a nice thing. You can play this game as an inexperienced first player, and it will work, but you will rarely run out of resources. Or as an experienced player, you know from the first move onwards, how do I do this so that I will still have good resources and good access at the end of the game? And so as an experienced player, you go through many more dilemmas, whereas the new novelty goes very freely in there. Oh, I will buy this and I will buy this, and he is in paradise. Whereas the other one actually starts in paradise but knows where he's going, and therefore will be shivering from the first move onwards what to do, and can I afford this, can I not do this? That was the feeling. I start very often when you say where do I start? I started from the theme, the world, the challenges, but also from the emotions and from the feelings I wanted to create, yes.
I could tell that you're very excited about that design because you became very animated as you talked about it. Does it feel good to be designing a game that's maybe a little more complex like that again?
I mean, I'm not deliberately not designing complex games, and sometimes we actually have quite complex games still on the table. I mean, the Prosperity I did together with Sebastian Bleasdale is certainly quite a challenging, complex game, and it's sometimes not so easy to place these games as well. So I have one or two in the drawers where I have talked to some publishers, and essentially they came to the conclusion we have so many different ones, we will probably go with something else rather. Right. And so that's a process which works its way through. I'm very happy that Ravensburger made Orongo, because Ravensburger has a great level of access to the markets, and now it comes into the English language world, yes. So that, I think, worked very nicely, because Ravensburger wouldn't do the insider games, but it was on the edge for them. They said, it's almost too complex for us, but I think we can do it. And I said, I think you will be successful with it. So that's where we are now.
Fantastic. Is there one of your designs that you still like to play? Something maybe older that stood the test of time that you still enjoy?
This is again a bit the question about your favorite child.
Right.
I have very little time. Well, we play every day, yes, because playing is the core, is the heart of game design. You have to experience the play. You cannot. Doesn't matter how much experience you have. You cannot calculate it. You have to feel it. You have to live it. You have to play it yourself. And of course, there are so many drawers here in the studio of new designs. So whenever there is the opportunity, you want to play the new designs. So very rarely do old games come out on the table. But when the old games, when the earlier games come on the table, I remember very well the fascination I had. So what did I want to feel there? Why did I think it is unique? What is the special thing about this game? I remember it, And very often, I still believe, yes, that is something I would still play, and I think it's still very relevant today, and it's a good game. There are a few where I say, okay, that was a good game at that time, but the world has moved on, and the time was slower at that time. If you look at a lot of Sid Sexton mechanisms, Sid Sexton did absolutely brilliant games, yes. And I don't want to say, but the time moved on. The but is wrong. Time moved on, and his wonderful constructed worlds are still a great pleasure. But I think they're no longer having some of the dynamics which people want to see sometimes. And that happens to some of my games as well. This is not a judgment about the value of the game. It is just a realization that time moves on. We all get older. Some of the games get older. Sure. And then it's fine. Then we can leave them in the box. You say we have a lot of republications. That is right. And that is nice. These are the ones which stand the test of time. And some of them lived in their time, and then their time have ended. That's fine as well. So that means there are the two things. One is that fascinates me and say, oh, this still stands today. And some of the other things I say, okay, that was good at that time. And both is fine. I can live with both of these.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about my mom's favorite game. And this is one that's just gotten reprinted. Battle Line just came out in a reprint, and Schotten Totten is coming out. Also, I think at Gen Con, Schotten Totten's coming out. That's absolutely my mom's favorite game. We've played it close to 100 times. She adores it, and she gets very mad at me when we play because it rides this line of sort of like Orongo with the shells, where you know that there is a finite amount of resources, and how you choose to use them is really the game, and is your opponent holding the card, and where's the bluff. But when you take Battle Line and you distill it down a step further to Schotten Totten, where you have one less card and then none of the tactics cards, which one of those came first?
Schotten Totten came first.
Okay.
This is also a nice example about what we discussed before with respect to placing a game in different markets. When Schotten Totten was published in Europe, we had the very simple approach of no tactics cards, just the battle cards, just the value cards. It made for quite a simple but the challenging game. I see the short rules, and essentially it's not that I want to run forward and play all my cards very quickly. Quite on the contrary, I want to hold out, and which one do I now commit, and which options do I keep open. When I then talked to American publishers, particularly GMT, they said they're very interested in the game. They changed the theme. I mean, the Schotten Totten is more about the Battle of the Scots, yes, and more a funny, light theme on there. Whereas, of course, GMT is more wargame companies, as I said. Well, it lends itself, of course, also to Battle Lines, and there we had the title. But then they also suggested, can we not add a little bit of an American flavor to it? America likes more the thematic details, complexities. And so I thought about it and came up with this idea that these cards actually can be integrated quite naturally, these tactics cards. And so now you have the option. Do I draw a normal card of fighting, so we see different people on there, different values, or do I take one of these special action cards? Yes. But if I take an action card, I have fewer. I have my hand size is always the same. So if I take more of the tactic cards, I can take fewer of the fighting cards. And so that's a nice balance. I didn't want to overwhelm the games, and therefore there's only a pack of 10 in there. Right. Of course, you could go much further and make a big game out of it, and have then you could even make a collectible card game out of it, And so I do not understand collectible card games from a design point of view. So I've tried once to do it, and the game was published as Scarab Lords, but Chris Peterson from Fantasy Flight told me, this is not a collectible card game. Your game is too balanced. Collectible games are imbalanced, and the next generation corrects these imbalances and creates new imbalances, and that's what drives the process. So I don't think I understand collectible card games from a design point of view. But anyway, that was a short side remark. So I kept the tactic cards in Battle Line very limited, so that the original character of the game wasn't completely swept away. But it gave the additional aspect of here's something more if you want to do it. If you want to leave the battle cards aside, the tactic cards aside, you can still play the normal.
And it's a game where every card is good and every card is also the worst card in your hand. Because you don't want to play anything, but you have to play something, and it's excruciating.
Now we are back to the raw dice game. This is exactly what you want. You have a randomizer, but you do not want to have bad or good cards. You prepare your own luck, and you prepare your own world, and then you see how you deal with it.
And anybody that thinks a card game like that is luck based, sure, it'll always play a percentage, but the same folks every year do well at the World Board Gaming Championships, and that tells you all you need to know.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the testament to that sort of design. I could talk to you all day, but I'm sure you're a busy man, and unfortunately, I have to go to work. So I have a thing that I do with everybody that comes on the show, which is the 5 questions you have to answer before you get to go enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
All right. So question number 1: would you rather play a game that you love with people that you absolutely despise, or a game you hate with people that you really enjoy hanging out with?
This question is very clear. I would like to play this game with people I love, and it's being together with other people. I don't want to be. Why should I be together with people I don't like?
Agree completely. What is the best game that you've played this year that you didn't design? And this may be a tough one because I know you don't play a lot of other people's games.
That is a very tough one. Have I played a game which I didn't design this year? Is the big question.
We can go backwards a little further if you need to get to one that was somebody else's.
Help. Karen, have I played a game which I haven't designed once? Have I played anything? Love Letter I played, but that's a long time ago. That's last year sometime. I played this Trains game, yes.
Coal Express.
No. The Trains game, the deck building game,
yeah.
I think it's called Trains.
Trains,
yes,
yeah.
It's done by Alderak, yes.
That's the one.
That I played, and that I enjoyed.
Okay. That's a default answer, but I'm sure they'll take the ringing endorsement either way. Do you have a particular experience in your long career as a gamer and a game designer that sticks out to you as particularly good or bad?
Where to start?
I know, right? We can make a whole podcast episode out of that.
I think so. I think the most important aspect is stay true to yourself. Don't stare at the markets. Don't stare at the awards. Try to do what you do best. Stay true to your style, but of course, don't do that in such an isolation that you become irrelevant for the market. Yes. So these are the two things. See what is relevant, but then do what you do best within this relevant environment.
Is there one game that you wish you had designed? These are hard-hitting questions. I like when I can stump this man, make him think.
This is a really hard question. I mean, I'll give you a funny answer.
Sure.
I wouldn't have minded designing Monopoly.
Okay.
Because then I would be a multimillionaire today. But more seriously, I think Monopoly is still an archetype of one of our very successful games. And Monopoly is actually something which, with a few changes, you can bring down to a very exciting 1-hour game. I think, and of course Hasbro has addressed this as well, Monopoly plays too long for our time, so they have introduced mechanisms to do that. I don't know if you know, I worked on an electronic Monopoly for Hasbro, Electronic Trader,
I did not know
which
that.
had an electronic unit in there. Again, so a hybrid game. And at that point of time, Hasbro was much more strict about changes to Monopoly. No, you cannot move this corner space away. Mm-hmm. This has to be this one and so on from the design point of view. Because I wanted to make it shorter and bring it back. And I think I gained a lot of respect for this game when I started designing things and saw the options you could introduce into this game. It is it is a platform, and this game has a lot of potential to be really relevant, even from a game mechanism up to today.
That's a fascinating answer. You are a man who has used many various types of dice in games throughout the years. Out of all the games that you've designed or played, what is your favorite die from any game? It could be a generic die from, a generic D6 or something from a specific game.
Yeah. Well, as you asked me in the first question about people and what makes the game is made by people. And again, the dice just carry the game. I have already been explained my admiration for my own design, which is always a very bad thing to do.
That's okay. You're the guest of the show. You can do that today.
I think the favorite die is still the one from 1 to 5 and the worm on the other side.
Really? Okay. Right, the Picamino die.
Yes, it's the simplicity of the design. I'm actually working just now on a game where you have, it's here, where you have something like a worm, which is a crown.
Okay.
But then you have 2 ones on it, so that you have a different probability on different aspects of what you're going for. I can't tell you more because it's unpublished, and therefore I will not give away fantastic new things I'm working on, but we'll see.
And speaking of fantastic new things, am I correct in guessing that those drawers behind you there are full of prototypes?
These are not the drawers of the prototypes. These are actually office materials in there.
Okay. So I have the unexciting drawers in my view.
The 60 drawers on the other side. I mean, the point is I can show you,
sure,
but nobody in the interview will, of course, see that. And I've now tried to turn it over. Well, I'll just do it simply. Oops,
well,
I've taken myself away.
There we go.
Here are the drawers.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. So, I feel like I'm getting a peek inside the mad scientist lab. I said the same thing to Bruno Faiduti. I said, I feel like I'm getting a look at the way your brain works by looking at that.
I don't think you see that. You probably think my brain works very orderly and very organized, and that's where the drawers are organized. I will not open them for you because that's all the secret stuff in there, and if you had been quickly, you would have seen all the titles of the games there. So you might, if you have a record, you could go back and find them.
No, I didn't record the video, so I can't zoom in. Fail at life.
It's all deliberate because that's, of course, all the secret stuff which I hope to bring to the world and bring the enjoyment to the people with over the next years.
You have done a wonderful job with that so far in your history as a game designer. What do you have coming out that you can talk about, so that you can let the folks listening know what they can look for from you this year or in the future after that?
Well, my problem is always I should not say anything which the publishers want to announce at the given times, but there are a few nice surprises in the pipeline with the classic series.
Fantastic.
So the next one is Ra. I think that has already been announced. Yep. And there will be another one. So watch that space. This is a fantastic classic series there with lots of value. That's something where I will certainly try to have another 1 or 2 or 3 representations.
I'm guessing Through the Desert, and that should definitely be one of them, because that's one that's been out of print for far too long, and that's one that should be on the shelves of your major toy stores.
Watch that space.
Dr. Knizia, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for answering the 5 questions. And now you are a free man and you can go about your day in sunny, oddly enough, England today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. In the post-production process anyway, where I go and clean a bunch of stuff up. So I go tidy up the audio. Okay. So let's do a little practice run. We'll just have some conversation, and then at some point, yeah, something exactly like that.
Right.
So let's talk about. I'll give you the proper introduction that all the guests get.
She sells seashells down by the seashore.
Get closer to the microphone if you're going to be insane.
This needs to be recorded.
We need to have a
Gotta
record.
preserve
of
this for
Loose lips sing chips. Loose lips sing
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Okay, I see the crazy didn't fall far from.
No, the crazy apple bounced
No,
down
we're really too similar. It's kind of
the
frightening.
crazy tree and then crashed into the bottom of the crazy forest. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You're the luckiest when you fell closest to the tree.
Lucky me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of the tree, for this special episode that we're doing with Reiner Knizia, we are joined by the oldest guest that's been on the show.
Great, thank you.
If you say that crap, I will be unfamily friendly.
And easily the most unstable guest we've had on the show.
2 words.
And if you knew,
Peace out.
if you knew Pete, you'd understand how true that is.
Yeah, that just took it to a.
The
whole
one and
level.
only Sea Hag, my mom, Diane Oksenik. Thanks for coming on the show, Sea Hag.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to have you here, isn't it?
Picked a bag of pickled peppers.
That's priceless.
I can't even say that.
Come on.
Peter Piper
I
picked a
can't.
pack of pickled peppers?
What is that?
No one knows.
No.
No one knows.
Peter Piper picked what?
A pack of pickled peppers.
Peck of pickle pep-
A pack of pickled peppers.
A pickle picker. Sugar.
Oh man.
I can't. And we're not even drinking. That's the
I
thing.
think it's just a sugar
Peter
high.
Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked. If Peter
How much wood can a woodchuck chug if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many packs of pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
Hey, it only took us 45 seconds to get through a 10-second rhyme. That's great.
All
It's
right.
about how long it took us to play Goa the other night.
I know.
Same difference.
Oh my God.
How long have I
Okay,
been
fine.
playing games with you now? We just played Raw, and our first play of Raw was November of 2007, and I'm pretty sure we were playing games before that. Ticket to Ride I had bought back when we were both working at the same place, which shall remain nameless,
Oh God, yeah.
so I don't get sued.
Yeah. Good idea.
What do you mean? You guys actually work together?
Yeah,
He got me a job and I raced the computer system.
it was amazing. Like you've never seen the chaos that like you would. She's done things with a computer that are impossible, not in a good way. Not like, hey, we invented the program that can beat humans at Go.
Mm-hmm.
She did things like, I saved a file over a file, but there's nothing on the disk now.
And then they went out to lunch.
So
and
you
he's
should
like,
be
You're
working-
Fine. You're fine. You can't do anything wrong. Just do your thing. We'll be back from lunch. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, I hit something, and there was nothing there.
Yep, the giant spreadsheet was
like,
gone.
So-
You can't swear on the show.
So he came back and I said, Stephen, I think I erased something. Well, the two of them kind of went like, whoa.
Yeah, like,
I don't even know what he did.
oh God, I don't even know. It was so long ago, I don't remember. That was an adventurous place, but that's when I started buying games.
A long time ago.
So I would have gotten Ticket to Ride in like the beginning of that year. So that was probably the first thing we played with Kate
And for sale.
and For Sale,
Oh, For Sale is such a fun
which
game.
is a good segue because you said to me before that's your favorite game.
For sale is one of my favorite games. For sale is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I can kick everybody's butt at it.
So the long and short is you like games that you win and don't like games that you don't win.
Precisely.
Well,
Precisely.
that's really not that far a stretch.
Simple games that appear to be simple, that are not simple at all,
Okay, that's much more gooder.
are my favorite.
Okay.
Those that people think have no effort involved when there's actually a lot of effort involved.
Yeah, For Sale's a very good example of that.
If you beat it. If you can
Yeah,
beat it.
if you're good at
She
it.
broke For Sale because we used to play
how
For
did
Sale.
She break For Sale? I mean,
And so
figured
she'd
out a
always
different way to
she'd
play
always
it.
play wearing a hoodie, right? So she would never bet any money,
okay.
and she would just
never
end
had
up
money.
like hoarding all this cash. So she had
And I
like
won.
all the money, and she would like break it because like she wouldn't bid, and it did really screwy things to the game.
And everybody stopped
So
playing
you
it.
would just always take the low card.
She would always take the low
all
card.
the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and-
everybody's like betting and going, oh, I'm going to get that. Oh, I'm going
Yeah,
to
and
get
it
that.
basically turned out that like the interesting thing about For Sale was you could almost skip the first part of the game and just deal out the property cards,
Yeah.
and you could still basically play For Sale.
And win.
So like if everyone's doing moderately well, everyone's pretty close in the second half, and your money from the first half can be huge. So she'd have all this money left over.
I see.
And it just basically broke for sale.
It made me so happy to have all this money in my pocket and my hoodie.
She's like a kangaroo. Like a kangaroo just holding money in.
I won until you all quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, we're not playing anymore. You know how to beat it.
That's right. So
Yeah.
I've actually, looking at my thing, I've logged 73 plays of For Sale. Probably 60
Have you
some that
really?
were here. Well, because we used to play it 5-6 times in a row.
Okay, I can see that. We play at work still.
Yeah, because it would
That
play
was a fun
6
game.
people. So if we had, like, you know, when Caitlin's ex-boyfriend was here, like, if we'd have 6 people, we could all play. So it was one of those games, like, you know, you're talking 2007, 2008. Like, you didn't have, you probably had 20% of the choice you have for games now. So that was one of those games that just got played all the time.
I can see that.
So if you learn how to go in the back door for sale instead of the front door for sale, you can beat everybody, and they don't even realize it's happening.
No, I'm so tucking that away for when I'm playing it next
I feel like
time.
we should charge people for this type of advice,
Really?
too.
Yeah.
That's an awesome way to do it. No one will have a clue.
No,
No.
they won't even see it coming.
No.
No.
You said that was literally your favorite game.
Way back when.
How about now? How about top 3? And if you can't remember the names, we'll help you figure the names.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
Battle Line, Raw, and For Sale.
In that order?
Well, since you beat me today, I forgot.
3 games in a row badly at
My
Battle Line.
favorite game is Battle Line.
And that was the 100th play that I recorded of Battle Line.
And I probably beat you 75 of them.
You'd like to believe that.
You suck!
And that's why this is an award-winning podcast. I do, kind of. But we used to always keep... I didn't keep track of all the wins and losses back in the day.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't
that's
until
a
I got...
simple excuse now.
Well, when we got this board game stats app that we keep all of our... So we keep everything in it, like scores and all that.
Okay, you can tell me that all you want to tell me that. But that's about it.
You can you can claim whatever you
I
want. We
will.
have nothing to substantiate
I
these
will.
claims.
75 wins for me,
Out
25
of-
wins for you.
So, and that includes the 3 today. So really, that was nothing.
All right.
And those are under duress.
You guys are piling
it was
up.
under duress.
I don't think we played it all when you had your hip surgery. Well, we probably played a couple
Oh
games
yeah, we
that
did, and I
week.
beat you then too. And that was definitely.
That's when you were on drugs,
Yeah, not duress.
painkillers, blood thinners. Life was good.
That gave it just a little bit of an edge.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we played that week, but I don't think I was recording games at that time, so I may have actually played more than 100 games of Battle Line. But I
still
logged
only-
my 100th game today, which is very exciting.
That's pretty awesome.
And we played the 39th game of Raw I logged. We had a little mini Knizia-thon today. So we played Battle Line, and then we played Orongo, and then we played Raw.
We did. It was a
I like
crazy
Raw.
song.
Raw's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, I like it now. I didn't like it the first time I played it. I was so confused. I was
Well, that's 'cause you did really,
the
really
worst
terrible.
Raw player ever.
It's possible.
it's
the first
hard.
the first time Lauren played Raw, you
hard.
start the game with 10 points, and she finished with 8.
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
So today she came in 3rd out of 3, but it was a very respectable score for
At
your
least
second
I
time
had
playing Raw.
43 points, so that's respectable.
Yeah.
That at least appears like you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Maybe.
you did much better. Raw is such an amazing game. I'm so glad they reprinted that. Half of me wants to get the reprint, but half of me really likes our old Uber Play edition.
Yeah, keep the old one.
The new edition's very nice looking. They updated the artwork. It's very nice looking.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good that if we teach that to people, they can get it now because you couldn't get Raw for a long time.
Yeah, that is nice.
I like Raw.
So that's the top 3. How about 4 and 5?
Oh, I don't know. The rest is a blur. There's been too many.
There's been a lot. Power Grid. I know you like Power Grid a lot.
Yeah. I can't remember the others.
No thanks.
Don't remember that.
That was the one where you would hoard all the chips again. Everyone pays a chip to not take a card, and then if you take the card, you take the chips.
Here.
I'm just
So-
saying, it's a money thing. You know
Yeah,
what
so
I mean? Give me.
so then you have to take, when you take the card, you take everybody's chips that are on it, and so she'd end up with all the chips and all the cards.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but if you get real lucky and like you start to make some runs, you start to just get some luck, and then you're like, oh look, I just connected 10 cards in a row.
I don't know what else I liked a lot.
We played so many games. I mean, Ticket to Ride.
Bear
always.
Paws.
Oh yeah, Trump Tricks game. That's what it's called.
Bear Paws.
It's called Bear Paws.
That's fine, but
For
well,
us.
for
Yeah.
the people that might want to buy it, it's Trump Tricks game.
Oh, the raunchy donut game.
Oh yeah, Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen.
Yeah, the one with the ants.
Yes,
Yeah.
we played that last
Yeah,
time we were
that.
out.
Yeah,
one
that's
I
a really
like.
good. That's another Reiner Knizia game.
Oh, there you go.
I sense a theme
That's
here,
my favorite.
So I would say that you really like Reiner Knizia games.
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
perfect
Absolutely.
because this is the Reiner Knizia episode.
And seeing as I'm the oldest person on earth to play games, therefore I should have some
No, you're not nearly the
input.
oldest person on earth to play games. The oldest person to come on the show.
That's true.
Oh, why thanks.
Definitely not the oldest person to play games.
Okay.
Good Lord, I'm trying to think of who I know, but I know people that play with like grandfathers and stuff like that. So you're probably close to the oldest person to play games.
Thank you very much.
Top
At least I
10
have
for
some
sure.
honor somewhere.
Yeah, you're like the Methuselah of board gaming.
Nice.
You're so kind.
Thanks. That's why
Too
when
bad.
I said what I said before, you never mind.
Nobody will see the look you just gave me, which is great. It's just like, why did I birth you?
That's right. Peter Piper
Let's talk about Battle Line, because it's probably your favorite game ever.
is my favorite game. Yes.
Battle Line is one of these old school designs that people don't make anymore. And so essentially what you get in the box is you have a 60 card deck. It's 1 through 10 in 6 different colors, which is basically a Rage deck for anybody that's ever played Rage. That means probably nothing to you, but and in Battle Line you also have tactics cards that sort of break the rules. What's interesting about Battle Line is the offspring of a game called Schotten Totten that just had cards 1 through 9. It didn't have 10s and it didn't have any of the tactics cards. And we kind of play half a hybrid of Battle Line and Schotten Totten because we play with the 1 through 10 deck without the tactics cards usually. Martin and I play with the...
We've played that
I'm
with
not supposed
the
to use your
tactic.
real name on the podcast.
my
The Horsey
God.
Avenger and I... We have to bleep that
You're gonna
out,
have to edit that out.
right?
It's Marie.
No, it's Maria.
Maria.
It's Maria. For
How do you
Maria.
solve a
okay.
problem like Maria? So, this is sort of a 2-for-1 review, which is really good because we're basically reviewing Battle Line and Schotten Totten at the same time.
We kind of do.
So, Battle Line is published by GMT, and the new edition of Schotten Totten is published by Aiello, which I think is coming out at Gen Con
Okay.
with some new nice artwork. This
That's
Battle Line
interesting.
has been unchanged with the same artwork. I bought this copy in 2007, and it has seen some action. You can see how worn the box is. But like I said, so you get a deck of 60 cards, 1 through 10 in 6 different colors. And then there's 15 tactics cards, and you also have 9 flags, which are basically just a little red wooden pawn. You set the 9 flags out in the middle of the table between the 2 players, shuffle up the deck of cards. Each player gets 7 of the troop cards. So you don't start with any of the tactics cards. You get 7 of the troop cards at the beginning of the game. And your turn is really simple. You play a card, you draw a card. You either draw a troop card or you draw a tactics card. You can play 1 card and you draw 1 card. That's it. That's your whole turn. I don't think there's any game that's easier to explain except for maybe like Connect 4. It's like, hey, drop a checker in the thing.
Yeah.
That's your turn. But essentially what you're doing is playing 3-card poker at each of the 9 locations, each of the 9 flags or stones, depending if you're playing Schotten Totten or Battle Line. And what you're doing is trying to make the best suit or the best hand. So it goes from a straight flush through a flush, through a straight, 3 of a kind, through a flush, through a straight, and then what they call a host. So the wedge is your straight flush, a phalanx is 3 of a kind, a battalion's 3 of the same color, and then a skirmish is just a straight, and a host is basically a junk hand of any 3 cards.
Right.
You rarely win anything with the host, but sometimes you do. You get a little lucky. And one of the cool things is, as soon as you've built a hand at one of the stones, and you can prove with what's on the table that the other person can't beat you, you get to claim that stone. And that's really part of the game is deducing. So in our last game, I had played 3 1s, and then the Sea Hag played another 1 on her side. And at that point, I played a 2 of one of the color that she played the 1. And at that point, I could say, hey, you cannot beat what I have there. So I was able to claim a stone very early in the game that really wreaked all kinds of havoc on you. As a matter of fact, I think that threw you off for the
I
other 2
think that probably
games.
derailed you.
Yeah, probably.
So what you're doing is you're taking turns playing cards until one person either wins 5 flags, or if you win 3 right next to each other, it's called a breakthrough. That's the game.
I never knew that.
what it was actually called?
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I got 3 in a row. No, I got 5. Okay.
There you go.
Well, that's one of the things I think about the game. People have for years said that Reiner Knizia games don't have any theme. There's no theme in Schotten Totten or Battle Line. It doesn't really matter. I mean, this is with the Macedonians against it's Alex and Alexander the Great and Darius. Is Macedonians against the Greeks or something like that? Is what it's supposed to be. It doesn't even matter. It matters not. You're literally playing colored cards.
It's pick a battle of 2 sides, and that can be a theme.
Yeah, you could theme this for anything. As a matter of fact, there was a Chronicles of Narnia version of this released only in England when they made the Chronicles of Narnia movies. They never released it here.
That would actually be kind of cool.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really the whole game. That's how you play Battle Line. And people listening that have never played this would go, okay, great. Why do I care about a game that is so simple to play? So why do you care about a game that's so simple to play?
Very intense. It takes a staggering amount of concentration. Mm-hmm. It's very analytical if you play it with any depth. And if you play it because you really want to kick your opponent's knee, then you really need to pay attention. And if you lose your focus, then the game's done.
I think you're right in that you could play the game very light and just sort of play cards, whatever. But if you're playing this game right, you are trying to pseudo-thematically sometimes bait somebody into playing cards there. Like if I want to show that I have something, I did this in the one game. I played a battalion, which is a mid-ranked hand, very early off to the side because I said, hey, for her to beat that, she's gonna have to commit a good hand to beat me, right? So, trying things like that, like, hey, if I draw you away from that and I make you focus on that spot over there, then over here I can maybe get away and win something I shouldn't win. It's almost like a trick taker in that way, in that you want, like Trump Tricks games, sometimes you want to win something that based on the cards you have in your hand, you don't think you should be able to win.
Kind of like Raw, too.
Very much like Raw. Yes. When you try to win something with a very low sun tile. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Go figure. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, there's so much going on in such a simple game.
But it's not simple.
No, it's not. The rules-wise couldn't be simpler. I mean, the entire rules of this game fits on one 8x11 sheet of paper. And if you take out the tactics cards, which in Schotten Totten you don't have, it fits on half a piece of paper. And I would say the Horsey Avenger and I have played. She's played with the tactics cards, and I think you and I played the tactics cards back a little bit. Yeah, and you didn't care for them, which is fine. But I've played the game both ways. I played it at the WBC and like tournament play, and some people would say, well, isn't Schotten Totten too easy if you don't have the tactics cards? No, actually quite the opposite, because the tactics cards will allow you to make, I don't want to say a misplay, but a suboptimal play to further lure somebody into something and then play a tactics card.
It kind of helps you break the rules a little.
Yeah, whereas in Schotten Totten, when you're playing with just pure numbers, there's no margin. Right, you commit to a thing, you're doing that thing at that spot, or you're going to lose.
Right.
Which makes it very tough.
Very. One wrong move.
Yeah.
One wrong move, and that's it.
Yep. And you really have to pay attention to what's out there, because sometimes you may know you can't win a certain flag, but I don't want to play the card on the table that will let you prove that you beat me, because now I can't play in that spot. Once a flag's claimed, you can't play any more cards there. And that's really important.
Yeah.
Because if you take away the opponent's ability to play cards, then they don't have any flexibility. They lose the flexibility. That's really important in this game too. Right. You have to commit, because you have to play a card every turn. So every turn you're committing to something, but you try to stay flexible as long as you can. But the other part of that, and this is why one of the things that makes this game so great, is that your flexibility, you can't stay too flexible. There comes a point when you need to go, okay, I have to decide on this thing. If you don't decide on anything and you play the game wishy-washy the whole time, you'll never win. Because there comes a point that you just have to commit to doing certain things. And sometimes you'll get lucky. Sometimes, I mean, there is luck of the draw in the game. I won't say there's not. Yeah, it's a card game.
Yeah,
certainly, but it ultimately depends what you do with the cards you dealt with.
Well, I would say also that that's one of the hallmarks of just about any good game that has a luck element is that you have randomization without penalization. So you have a random thing happening. Just think about Ra. There's no bad tile draw in Ra.
Right.
So you have a very random feature that doesn't, it won't break the game. In this game, there's times that you will draw a lucky card. There's times that you draw the thing you need. There's times you never draw the thing you need. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But the game never punishes you for drawing a specifically bad card. There's no bad card in this game. Every card is simultaneously the best card in the deck and the worst card in the deck.
True.
Which is very sort of interesting.
Yeah.
So what else do you like about Battle Line? What makes it your favorite game?
Oh, I don't know, because it's simple, it's uncomplicated, and it's extremely complicated. It's not all bells and whistles and ruffles and
Feathers.
it's just kind of
Bolas.
hardcore, sit down and be serious, and I like it. It reminds me of a Hershey bar. It's like a classic. There's no frills, there's no extra, I don't know.
It's just really good.
It's just a classic.
Yeah.
It's just
It's the Hershey bar of
Classic.
board games.
Wow.
that's my call. That's what it reminds me of.
That's reasonable. I'll give you that one.
I know.
mean, I agree. No, they
It's my
don't.
call.
They don't get. I would go with pure. It's a pure game.
Yeah.
There's zero extraneous rules.
Right.
There's zero extraneous actions. It's almost as distilled as a game can get and still be engaging.
Exactly. A simple but not.
Yeah. It's
Simple but not.
yeah. The board game community tends to use the word elegant a lot. That's a
Yeah.
word that board
Yeah.
game community likes to use, which I think is kind of in a lot of cases, it's a crappy. It's a suboptimal way of
Yeah.
describing things. But this is one of those games that it's just so pure and
It doesn't
clean.
need anything more than what it brings to the table.
No, and
It
Exactly.
really doesn't.
this is a perfect example of you will get out of this game exactly what you put into it.
True.
Now, this won't mean much to you, Ma, but the Horsey Avenger and I play a lot of Stefan Feld games, and his games are very complex rules-wise.
Yes.
And you cannot play one of those halfway because it's just such a complex thing. But you will always have essentially the same experience because you're basically strapping into a ride. So like being on an amusement park ride. Like it's going to do a
Right.
lot of the stuff for you. You have to pull the levers and push the buttons. This game, if you want to just drop cards, you can drop cards.
Right.
You know, and you can play the game in 10 minutes. But if you really care, this game will absolutely reward all the effort you put into it.
It's good times.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. We should talk about Raw a little bit too.
Oh,
We should, since we just played it today
Yeah.
and you completely smoked us in it.
Yeah, I got cocky. I said halfway through the
Oh,
game.
you got schooled.
The Horsey Avenger went to let Squeaky Bandanas outside for her afternoon sprinkles. And I said to my mom, I said, I don't think anyone's going to catch me.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of points. Yeah, I lost by 3.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
failed.
You know.
I
There
failed
you
at
go.
life, which is fine. But without going too much into a full review of Raw, what is it about Raw that really works for both of you? Because the Horsey Avenger is now a Raw fan. She understands the joy of Raw.
And I was not.
No,
At
because
the
the
start of
first
this.
time she played, she
Mind
did.
you, it was only my second game.
Yeah.
True. So takes a
And
little
the first
bit.
game, I actually... I don't even want to...
She lost points. She finished
I
with less
lost
points than she
points.
started the game with. I'll out you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll
You
sell you
start
right
with
up.
10 points and I ended with 8. I don't even know how that was possible, but it really did happen.
Yep.
It happened.
So now that you guys
So.
have, played through Raw together, that was a very tense game of Raw.
It was.
And I kicked your butt again.
You did. We want to talk about Battle Line some more, about how I won the last 3? You want to do
Well,
that?
that was under
Oh, was it?
duress.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was under-
under duress.
Under duress.
Played the game under protest.
Yeah.
There you go.
She was actually so mad she didn't want to record this at first. But Raw is one of those games that now that they've reprinted it, I'm very curious how it will do because the board game audience is very different. No one makes auction games anymore.
It's a fantastic game.
It's astounding. I mean, I think some of the things it does best is the shifting value of the tiles that are out there. And every time a new tile is drawn, the value of all the tiles shifts. And every time someone wins something, the value of everything shifts, because now what you're bidding with has changed, and the way the suns move around is such an interesting auction mechanism. Yes. Unlike anything else, really. I mean,
that's very true.
It's
also having the suns to bid.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have to pay attention to the sun that's in the center,
right?
Because that becomes part of your hand for the next
round.
Right.
So that's part of your valuation, and that changes constantly.
And it changes. So you have different values that you're bidding with at each round.
And the constant, the draw of the raw tiles. So like you may not want to call raw, but sometimes the raw tile comes out, and then you have to reevaluate everything again.
Yes,
it's great.
It's astounding to me that, so we've been playing that since November 2007, and it's July 2016. So like 8.5 years.
Yeah, it's terrific, and we still all love it.
I still adore Raw.
Yeah,
it's one of those games I will never get rid of.
No, should we?
No, it's so good. Now we'll have to try the 2-player variants and see how they go. I have my doubts, but I won't judge it based on that.
But we can play Priest of Ra as well.
That's true.
Right.
So before we wrap up, you played Orongo with us today, which is going to be one that the Horsey Avenger and I are going to review.
That was a good game.
That's I think you hit the nail on the head when you described it as through the desert-ish. Meets. I think you said it had some through the desert and some raw in the bidding.
When I looked at it, I saw through the desert immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's.
But I like this one better.
Oh, really?
I'm not quite sure why. I just
do. You like the bidding? You always liked auction games.
Yeah, and I had more shells. I had money on the other side of the little divider again.
It's all about keeping the money hidden.
It's all about keeping that money hidden. I didn't have my hoodie on today, but I had my little secret screen. So to me, a game has money. I play it. I will not always win, but.
Do you have any favorite gaming memory from like when we used to play with Kate and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's all good times. We are all very competitive. We do not like to lose.
No.
We do not like to lose.
Nope.
Don't know that.
That's true.
And we play it and we come away laughing.
Yeah.
And we have a really good time.
And everyone tries their hardest, which
and we're all together, and it's a great thing for all of us to do. And it's just
it's a beautiful thing.
Ranks high with me. Yeah.
Well, C-Hag, thank you for joining us on the Cardboard Insanity podcast. Any parting comments for the audience?
Oh, get raw, get battle wine, sit down with people you really like, and enjoy.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Thanks, C-Hag.
See ya.
Well, yeah. Let's see. Is she going to say anything? Go ahead, try it. And then she just sniffied into the microphone. God, I hope that can be heard.
I hope so.
Well, that was a fun show.
It was.
Thank you very much to Dr. Reiner Knizia for joining me.
Great interview.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's hard to remain humble when you're this good.
I know.
And thank you to my illustrious mother for joining us, which was a lot of fun.
We should really endeavor to do this at least once a year.
Yeah, it would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It would be... I think, I used to play so much with my mom and my sister Caitlin, and I think if we were regularly playing games with them, we could probably do reviews more often. But 600 miles to my mom, and now I don't know what, 1,500 to Caitlin.
Yeah,
she's in Denver now.
She is in Denver, but we're gonna go out to Denver.
Oh, I can't wait. And she's posted pictures. I may never leave.
I know. It is so gorgeous there.
We don't have to take powder, right?
No.
All right, good.
Yep.
Why didn't we yard sale her?
There were at least 10 people that offered to take her.
I know.
I
should have taken them up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the cost savings alone of not buying chicken and rice, and the hours of my life spent cutting up chicken, and you're the worst. So, thank you everybody for listening. I don't know what's wrong with my throat.
I know you just kind of lost your voice all of a sudden.
I got all gurgly. Mm-hmm. It's that because I didn't have that beer. Yeah. We will be back next week with Oscar Sams Granerud, the designer, one of the designers of 13 Days. So we'll be talking with him. And somewhere in the next 2 weeks, we're going to review that game. And we'll obviously review something else, too, to split up the episodes. And then after that, that puts us out 3 weeks. We're going to Gen Con.
We are.
So I think we'll try to put together an episode for that weekend. And then we'll have a Gen Con show when we come back, which will be very, very exciting.
That's going to be fun. I am so excited to go.
I'm going to be giddy like a schoolgirl. Mm-hmm. And we're having a game auction right now. So most of the good stuff has sold, to be totally honest. There's not a lot of good stuff left, but there's some moderately good things very inexpensively that could be picked up. So check that out. Find me on Board Game Geek. My username is Stormseeker75. So you can find my geek list and bid on my toys. And we will be back very soon.
Yes.
You're quiet today, Horsey.
I know.
She's going to go to sleep.
I had a very traumatic day.
Capped off by Squeaky's antics.
Yep.
All right, well, we're going to go, and then we're going to, while we're gone, we're going to try to find a home for this dog.
No. She's here to stay.
I say no. Bye.